My name is Suhail'S Shaikh. I'm a product designer who's moved over to art, and I'm extremely passionate about paper and aviation. So the Spitfire embodies almost the ultimate in aviation, and I've been trying to get this out of my system for a very, very, very long time, and finally have built the paper Spitfire.
So we were asked to actually replicate Suhail'S model, and Gareth, our MD, he decided, to, in his usual way, to really go for it and make a full-scale size model. So this is actually, this bit here is actually the spinner, which is this top bit in full size, just to give the guys on the project an idea as to what they're letting themselves in for. It's not going to happen overnight, contrary to what Gareth might think.
Dreams do come true, because I never imagined that my paper Spitfire would bring me here today and we'd be building a full-scale Spitfire. The first step that we're working towards right now is building a solid, strong central section on which we'll be putting on the tail, the wings and the nose. So this central section is extremely important because that's what gives us stability to the replica we're making. What we're working on right now, as you can see right here, is that we're trying to figure out which are the main sections, the main frames that we need to keep, how to ensure their strength, and how to build a sort of a box that will hold everything together. We are working from a replica, but we are building a sculpture. So this is halfway between taking something that is a real proven system and making something that is cosmetically right. We want to make something where people look at it and they can really feel the Spitfire, they can feel the beauty of its lines. This is a very, very, very exciting week. Up till now, we've been working on the computer, working with drawings and sketches and getting the parts planned out. But finally, we've got the parts cut, and now we're getting them assembled. So this is also a moment where we're realizing that some parts aren't really fitting because the drawings are not perfect, and a lot of them have to be put together by hand and mainly by eye. Now, what's very important is how this looks, obviously, and we're trying to get all the lines right. So you see the longerons that are sweeping down the fuselage. It's them that define the movement of the eye already and also of the aircraft. So we've got 12 longerons that are sweeping down the fuselage, and you can see where they have the curve that's around the engine. That's where the Merlin was. So there's this bump that goes across and over the Merlin, then it comes all along the fuselage in parallel lines, and then it goes sweeping as together they converge towards the rear. Getting these lines right is tricky because we could not measure them off drawings and do them. We have to do them all by eye. So it's grinding and then adjusting, grinding, adjusting, trying to get the curves, knocking them about. It's a great exercise. Together, we are learning how to look at it from more of an artistic point of view. It's not just grinding and welding and cutting metal together to make a box or something like that, but we are looking at creating shapes, creating pleasing shapes, creating shapes with history, creating shapes that are legendary, and putting it all together. It's very, very exciting.
We're a sheet metal company essentially, so the majority of our stuff is CNC punched, lasered, and then it's bent, and then it just goes to a welding area. The welders, they'll weld it, and then it goes essentially to a linishing area. So even though the lads have got quite a good skill set, it's all automatic. This is some CAD. It's been very difficult to extract some of the information from CAD, so they utilise that skill. But this is a thing that they would never do in a million years in their apprenticeship. And to have the opportunity to build something as iconic as a Spitfire and practice fabrication skills as opposed to sheet metal work skills, we felt that was a real diverse kind of thing for them to be involved in. So they've jumped into it, and we've got 4 lads now who are absolutely skilled in fabricating as opposed to just sheet metal work. Because we essentially wanted them to use sheet metal work skills. That was one thing, but it was how do we transfer that to the fabrication skill? So the longerons in particular, we had to cut a strip, fold and flatten it to make it into a T-section. And initially we were going to T-slot that. That didn't quite work, so we had to change that to a single slot, and it reversed the longerons. So it was kind of problem solving as we went along, and that's a really essential skill for me as an engineer. It's not just about doing what's in front of you, what's on a drawing, but when the problems arise, how do you solve that problem? It might be a bit of trial and error, a bit of guesswork, but eventually a good engineer will actually come up with a solution. And I think we actually solved that in what we did with the longerons on the Spitfire. And I think, you know, anybody that looks at it will say, yeah, these lads, even though they're young lads, actually got a frame that was strong. We've done untold things with this frame that we never imagined we'd have to ask it to do, and it stayed together with just a simple tacking mechanism, and now we're having to substantially build those tacks up so that it will stand the test of time. The longeron is this section here, and if you look at it quite closely, it isn't actually a bought-in T-section. It's bent at 90 degrees here, and this edge here has been folded and flattened on a press brake, so to turn it into a section. And there's actually in the frame itself was a T slot, because we were going to turn this the other way, but it didn't work. We couldn't get it to actually fit. It made the frame very, very difficult to manoeuvre, so we changed it round, and we actually think it looks better. It's actually enhanced this part of the framework, whereas the Spitfire itself, its rigidity and its strength came from the plate work. This has got no skin. We're relying on what we've put here to hold this all together. Going back to when we first started the project, it was always our intention to copy Suhail'S paper sculpture as closely as we could, but the problem is in fabrication is how do we do it? And his paper sculpture has got the wings that are separate, the tail that's separate, so it was how do we do that with ours? So at the moment, following Suhail'S model, we decided to break the wings just beyond the dihedral break, separate the nose cone, separate the empennage with the tail on, and so at the moment it's now in 5 separate sections. The nose cone with the exhaust stacks, that's now down at the main site, being linished, vibro finished, so that we can paint it. And as per Suhail'S model, because Suhail'S model is in white, this is going to be painted as in gloss white, and it will stand at the back of our training centre. This unit is not big enough to put this Spitfire together and bring it in through the doors. We had to build a special frame to tilt it 180 degrees to actually get it through the door. But we'd love to get it outside together in front of this unit and photograph it, do some publicity shots, thank all the people who've been involved in it, especially Suhail'S. Suhail'S given untold hours to this, his time, his dedication, and his passion. That's the one thing he's brought to this project, loads and loads of passion, which is transferred and translated by what the lads have done and in their commitment to getting this project to where it is now. Without them, and certainly without Suhail', this would not have got where it is. What's it done for KMF apprentices? I think it's given them a sense of purpose. They realise that fabrication isn't just about making a box, bending a piece of metal. There's an actual complete artifact in front of them that's got absolute mounds, lashings of significance for us as a nation, as engineers, and I don't know, for pride. That's the thing, it's actually given them a sense of pride. It's named Vera, after obviously Vera Lynn, and a lot of the lads who worked on it are really into Pink Floyd, and in their album The Wall there's a song called Vera, 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 What Has Become of You? And actually we've got a Spitfire which we're all dead pleased about.
Does anybody here remember Vera Lynn? Remember how she said that we would meet again some sunny day?
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know where.
Vera, Vera, what has become of you? Does anybody else in here feel the way I do?
So it's been a little more than a year since we began, and I am so happy today because here we are. It's done. And I must say that I do have tears in my eyes. I am so happy.